Welcome to November's Love is Alchemy Sacred Circle. Our call today is to help you build a strong foundation of love for all your relationships. And today we're going to do that by spending time in the frequency of sacred relationship. This is one of my very favorite topics. So you'll probably see me post about this or talk about this more than once. When I think about if I had to describe to somebody, what does that mean? What is it? I would say it's learning to relate in relationship in unity consciousness. So that is kind of like a big concept and maybe even in your mind an idealistic one. But we'll start breaking that down and kind of getting a little bit more into the nuts and bolts of what that might mean or what it doesn't mean. And we'll talk about the qualities of that kind of a partnership. And And we'll even talk about the idea of like, is it really possible even to create it? Where would I start? So I'll give you, I think, first a few examples of what it is and isn't. We're going to go through just like three. I think I only have 3 slides, super brief. And today we have a really great meditation that I brought through and channeled last night. It's kind of more like a transmission. So instead of thinking of it like a totally active meditation, it's a bit of a thing for you just to sit back and relax and receive and enjoy the sort of energy of it and the frequency that comes through in this process. So welcome for those of you that are joining. So what I'm going to do is just go through these couple slides and then we'll dive into the process, and really feel free to get totally comfortable when we do it, because it's a really nice one that I think you'll really enjoy. What I wanted to start out with is kind of like, let's just dispel any myths about like what it is and what it isn't, because it's such a big concept. Like, how do you even wrap your mind around it? And so one of the things that I'd just like to say up front is it's not a perfect relationship. It's not like, okay, we've moved into nirvana and now everything flows 24/7. It's not that, but it is different than sort of an ordinary relationship. And we'll talk about that. One of the things also I think is a lot of times people think that means that it's, I don't know if you've ever heard of the concept of a twin flame, or like there's only one person in the universe that I could have this with. And that's actually not true at all. So the sacred nature of relationships are open to a very, very big possibility of and range of options. And so that's not really the case either. It also doesn't mean like that there's one way of having a relationship that's going to get you there. It's about more of a frequency of living in a vibration of love than it is about, if you do this, X is going to happen. And so the work I like to do with people is help them figure out, like, what does that mean for my life? Because it's very unique and it's not a destination. It's like a way of engaging, it's a way of embodying love and learning to make decisions from that vibration. And so, so if you can, hopefully that helps just sort of like, okay, this is not a destination we're trying to arrive at exactly, but what is it? And what I put down is just a few things here. It's a co-creation, first of all. So regardless of who or what you're trying to co-create from a sacred basis, you're one part of the equation and not everything is under your control. So that's part of what makes relationships challenging, but also very interesting. And and it's an ongoing thing, of course. The other thing I mentioned, I guess already, is that it's very unique. So the two partners are going to have to work together to really create what works for them. And so this is why you can't just say like, hey, if you follow steps 1 through 7, you're going to get there. There are qualities and there are sort of codes, which is what I like to teach. What are the codes to kind of unlocking that for you? So that is certainly true. And then ultimately it's about learning, like, what does it mean to embody love and unity consciousness daily, so that you're operating kind of at a different level than you would if you're maybe we would just call it being unconscious or not super aware of what's going on inside of you, or what's for the highest purpose in a relationship. And then last of all, I think this is a super big key. So this is the part that sometimes maybe is a little challenging, only because sacred relationship, like when you make a commitment like that and you say like, hey, I want to unlock this level of wonderful things actually that are in sacred relationship, it requires you to commit to really do the work inside of the relationship that will help you heal. And it requires the other person to do the same. So yeah, there's some patience in that. It's not like we can demand that everyone's on the same timeline. And sometimes yourself will tell you like, okay, maybe my partner's not quite ready, but I'm going to take the lead or whatnot. So, but it's important because this is one of the codes to unlocking it. It's to actually make sure that you're paying attention to what is the reflection in the relationship back to you about your own work. And then how do we engage together to work things out when stuff comes up? So that's the is and is not list. Let's see. Let me see. There we go. Okay. So this is a little busy of a slide, but I just wanted to get it onto one page to give you some things to think about. So, because the qualities are, they really start with the very first one, which is this self-love. And when we think about self-love, it's like, again, it's like this giant idealized concept that everybody's got different ideas about. But I think the way I like to share with people is if you are experiencing inner harmony, that's because you're doing a good job with your self-love, aspects and the way you work with yourself. And so the more you learn to find those corners or ways or parts of your life that need more love, and you work on that and you kind of unlock that, you start to just experience like this greater harmony inside. And so then you're finding relationship becomes easier because there's less blame, projection, displaced emotion. There's a lot of stuff that gets changed by that step alone. And what it results in part is there's this deep feeling of connection because you're able to be much more open-hearted because you're not constantly thinking the other person is the cause of everything that's going on inside of you. That's just one way of interpreting it. And often sometimes when you meet somebody that you have the potential for this sacred relationship with, like you really feel that upfront, that sense of like, wow, there's really deep possibilities for this, but that requires ongoing co-creation. And again, I call it dancing together because this is the thing. If you're in this with somebody else, it's it's going to be like constant adjustment of, okay, here's where I'm trying to go. This isn't working for me, or this is, can we have more of that? And of course, you're engaging with somebody. So it's a bit of a like learning how to tango with somebody. And I like that analogy because in this kind of a relationship, you can really unlock ecstatic sexual experience. And it's really profound what's possible when you have these other things in place. You've got this alignment between your souls. Like usually you come together with somebody and like there's just this recognition, like you're not necessarily doing the same thing, but you have this sense of like, okay, we both have a trajectory that we're trying to cultivate, a life that's committed to our soul development. And often it's very mission driven, or you could say purpose driven. And sometimes it even means couples come together and they have a purpose that's shared, but it certainly doesn't have to be that way. I'm fortunate enough to be in a relationship where I just like we don't have the same mission, but there's so much support and we really care about the other person. Like I think when we got together, we had this whole conversation about um, look, I'm really looking to have a relationship where somebody cares that I'm fulfilling my mission in life, but you're going to get that back fully, 100% too. And just, you need to just let me know what you need to support you. And so that's a kind of a key like signal, like, oh, this has a potential. This is going that direction. Um, I think these others are kind of apparent. Maybe the devotion I can comment on. And this isn't, you might not experience it necessarily like, oh, this person's just totally devoted to me, especially in the beginning. But what it is more like is that there's this level of possibility to feel the devotion to love itself, and that like you want to experience that coming through your life and share that with somebody. So that might be another way of thinking of it. And I think of it as, and so you begin to experience like this person's really committed to me and shows up for me. But partly it's because people are devoted. And even if it's not conscious, it's like there's this commitment to be a loving person. So that might be a way to interpret that piece on this slide. And you know what? I'm gonna just remind people we have I share this speaker view on YouTube after the call and with the community. So if anybody has questions that are kind of personal, feel free to put them in the chat, and I just won't mention name or anything. So, you know, I will leave that as an option. I think next year I'm probably gonna invite people to have like a closed portion of the call at the end where we can do some live coaching. But right now we're just doing this week. I have something sort of back to back today, but let's wrap this up. So I have just a little bit more on slides here. So, and one of the things I just want to impart to you is really like this idea that it's possible. I think it's very easy to take something where like that's very idealistic and go, it sounds great, but like that just seems like 10,000 miles, away or at another planet where that's happening, And the thing is, it kind of comes down to some very simple things. So these are three of the sort of keys to creating it. And so I just want to put those out there. Some of the keys are harmony and balance. And I think one of the primary ways that balance comes in is your inner balance and your willingness to be connected. And that's really that unity consciousness in the background of like, I'm always looking to understand at a higher level what's going on, or beyond just myself, what's happening in the relationship, looking to, what the sense of love that's in my heart would guide me to do. I'm looking to connect with myself before I connect with another. So those kind of things are keys, which, we can go a lot deeper in. But when you're coming from love and working on those, they will make a huge impact on creating this. So last slide here. And I'm saying this in part because our process today is going to encompass some of this. But your sacred relationship starts with the relationship with you. Like we always forget, like our first relationship was with ourselves and our last relationship is with ourselves. So whether we like it or not, no escaping there. And we are going to have a chance to work on that today, like to really touch into it and nurture it. And so one way I think about it is it loving the self has to do with a lot of things. And, there's layers to it, the body, the emotions, the mind, but self-awareness and just really understanding who you are and like why you're here, what your gifts are, and accepting that like, I'm not perfect. I have these quirks, I have these problems, I have these things I'm working on that aren't, resolved. That kind of holistic way of meeting yourself really brings a level of peace inside and contributes to that connectedness. So then we can really surrender to life's challenges, and keeping your heart open is a really big one. I think when people think like, oh, I'm not going to find the relationship I want if you're not in one, keeping your heart open is one of those codes. And that has a lot to do with how we respond to things that happen in life, whether our hurts and challenges. Um, so, and then you can see a couple, maybe the last one I'll mention is the balance of the masculine and feminine. So this is about that balance inside. We have a masculine, feminine aspect and learning how to work with that. And if one of those isn't really familiar, like dig in and start learning about it, because there's so much beauty in being able to use both of those sides. It's like the masculine can give you the roadmap, but the feminine will help you know the timing of something. That's like just a mini example of that. So there's so much about us that's beautiful and unique to discover. And so we're going to work both with ourselves and with the potential sacred relationship in this process. So I will exit the slides here. And let me just, what I'd like you to do is just simply get comfortable and take a moment. You're even welcome to lie down. You can do whatever you want. But what I'm going to do is share with you it's actually a channel transmission I got last night, which was really beautiful, from Quan Yin. And so I'm just going to share that directly with you as we go through this. So I just want you to really relax and receive and let yourself feel, more than anything, feel what is behind the words of this. And that's a lot of words. So take a breath and And maybe even shrug your shoulders and drop them. You can do a head roll if you need to. We really want to loosen up that neck if we're in the mind so that we can get more into our heart space. And let's just allow ourselves to kind of sink into the restfulness of taking a few moments not to have to be anywhere or do anything right now. So this is how the transmission came through. Dear ones, it is I, Quan Yin. I enter your space and accept your invitation to guide you into the mastery of teaching this principle of sacred love. As you well know, it starts from the heart with one's own self. So this is where we begin. Anchor yourself deeply within the earth. Connect in gratitude with the earth, with all the beautiful elements of the earth kingdom. Feel the moist soil beneath your toes. Imagine the warm earth under your feet. And feel yourself magnetized to the earth's core. As she pulses with life, so do you. She offers you sacred partnership in this moment in nourishing you to provide an anchoring into her energies. And as they flow up and through and into you, she offers them freely from a place of love, an example of sacred union. And in this anchoring, you have a place you can call home. Regardless of where you go, her love goes with you. Her nourishment is offered freely to you. So let this stand as one example of sacred union. As she allows for you to breathe the very air that you breathe, she offers you her flowing waters of sustenance and her animal kingdoms, the blessings of food, nourishment, companionship, beauty, and inspiration. And so, as we turn to her in gratitude, this creates a generous flow of love between you and Gaia. Allow yourself to feel this, to open, to receive this love and sustenance. Feel it flowing through your whole being, revitalizing you, offering nourishment, and all from a place of love. Once you have anchored in this beautiful energy, I invite you to soften all your edges. Soften first around the belly, letting your breath flow freely, carrying vital life force to every cell in your body. Let it open your heart as if it has wings with which to fly. For this is symbolic of entering into sacred union. As you trust that your experience of relationships in the past, no matter how limited in nature, regardless of their status quo or outcome, at this moment in time, this potential for sacred relationship with another is held within you. And nothing can change that. Allow yourself to open those wings, welcoming the reflections of the beloved one you have chosen to invite into sacred relationship. This can be daunting, for it will show you the nooks and crannies of unhealed places within you. And yet, if you are willing to let these come forward to be transformed back to peace and integrated as little children who have returned from the schoolyard from play to go back to class, who are welcomed and who have come back to be part of the whole. For these aspects of yourselves very often have been left out in the cold, waiting their return, afraid to be judged, afraid to be seen at times, and unsure of the availability of love and their own worthiness. So, in this invitation to enter into sacred relationship, we start with you by welcoming each aspect of you that has been hidden or unresolved within your life. And you need not wait to enter this type of relationship to have this complete. This is an ongoing journey of love, of learning to love each part and parcel that makes up the whole that is you. Or in that embrace of all your parts is a natural opening to invite another into your life, to engage with them in deeper intimacy. And as they do, if they are but willing to attend to their own wounds, then the dance has begun. And you will begin to learn to listen for the voice of love within you to guide you day to day to create the harmony necessary for sacred love to flourish between you. So first, see yourself standing opposite your own self and welcome home all that has been disowned in the past, with the understanding that anything you have experienced can be embraced with love. Love is all-encompassing. Love is infinite and endless. It does not judge. It does not shame. And it sees with great generosity of heart. And as you learn to do this with your aspects, these metaphorical children within your heart who are seeking to come home, you will feel the shift within you to want to embody even more love in your life and to share that with another. In fact, you may in time recognize the desire to share it with all you encounter, and not just your sacred, beloved, intimate partner. For every relationship has a natural element of sacredness. For are you not all divine? Now I ask you to turn towards the other you have invited to enter sacred union in your life. And this may not even be someone you know yet, but your powers of imagination are sufficient for this exercise. Allow yourself to see the blossoming of love that has grown within your own heart, in your wholeness, extending, opening, and flowering far beyond your own field to this other being. Feel the softness of your love as the petals of a flower. Feel this gentle opening. Smell the beautiful fragrance of this love. And allow yourself to merge and blend with this beloved one you hold in your mind. See their love returning back to you, blossoming from your touch, flourishing from the nurturing care and commitment you have to one another to support your individual purposes. To stay committed to the path of love, to learn to ask, to act from love over fear, to learn to discern the blending of your souls in harmony. Feel the quality of balance between you. Feel the flow of love like an infinity sign between you, between your hearts, back and forth. And as you nourish yourself, this connection is nourished. As you find balance within yourself, you lend balance to the relationship. As you connect deeply with your own self in love, you offer that same love to another. This is the template that brings this blossoming forward between you. For in learning the truth about the depth of love available to you, you can then invite another to share with you from a place of wholeness. Open your heart to receive the bounty of love available to you in this moment. As you relax into the soft energy of this practice, as you allow your breath to caress you and to carry it forward within you, may you feel this love within every cell of your body and know that there is no separation from love and truth because you are created by nature from love itself. Close this meditation and practice with gratitude for the heart, for its willingness to be receptive and open, and to offer its abundant love with those around you. Now take a moment to open your eyes and return to complete this transition back to your physical bodies. But I urge you to take this piece that you received along with you, any insights, encouragement, inspiration that your heart may continue to allow this opening to occur in your life. And given our time, I'm just going to close out, but I'll stay on for just a moment after the recording stopped. Thank you for coming today. And if you found this valuable, please share the word and invite a friend next time. Thank you for coming to Love is Alchemy, where love is the medicine.